Hey y'all, this is Daniel. Welcome to Blunt Talk, where we tell you nothing but the truth. This is episode 3, the third installment of the series, and so far the reception from you guys, awesome. You guys love it, and I'm very appreciative of everything you guys are telling me to do and all the suggestions and everything. We're staying in SoundCloud for good now. We're gonna be here for the time being. Later on during the year, I'll try to figure out how to be on other platforms and stuff, but that'll be a matter to be addressed later. And that's pretty much it so far. My quarantine's been good, but without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest for this episode, my good friend and my roommate in college, no other than Anthony Latoracca, aka Muscles.
What's up, Dan? Thanks for that intro, man. I love that.
Of course, you got it, bro. How you doing? How's your quarantine been? First off,
It's been all right. Probably the same as everybody else. Just trying to not get too down on myself, get too sucked in and absorbed by the whole negativity of this quarantine. But a lot of video games, like I said earlier when we were talking. That's really it, man. Trying to keep up with my grades. School's a lot easier now that it's online. I mean, my schedule was pretty much a joke going into the semester. So now it's even more of one. But
hey, I'd say that this quarantine has definitely helped me, at least for like my grades.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It gives you so much more time to do shit. Sorry about that. And yeah, like I said, it just gives you more time to do this and it's at your leisure. So.
How have you been doing with like your working out regimen? Because like I know that you're like one of those people that works out every day and like with your routines and everything, and like this is probably driving you nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I haven't been to the gym. I actually stopped going to the gym for about a week and a half before they all started shutting down. So, I mean, it's been all right. I was keeping up with my running for a bit, then I hurt my back somehow. I don't know. I got a cramp, and it stayed for a couple weeks. So I just started picking that up again earlier today. I had a few dumbbells and kettlebells in the house, so I brought them down to my garage, cleaned that out. I ordered a punching bag off Amazon, so I've been keeping up with
How
that.
much?
It came out to $150 in total with the bag and the pair of gloves.
That's not bad at all because it comes with gloves too.
Yeah, I'm getting my money's worth. I had an Amazon gift card from Christmas, so I took a little bit off.
Okay.
It was helpful.
That's not bad at all.
But yeah, just trying to get creative. And literally, I'm grabbing whatever I can out of the garage. Like the other day, I took my old bike and I was pressing it up over my head, just
I feel
trying
that.
to figure it out, keep myself entertained and in shape for the most part.
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of like jailhouse workouts is what I've been calling it. Like pretty much just every day, like try to get some push-ups in, some sit-ups, just like jumping jacks, some basic stuff. Because at least getting energetic, like it's kind of hard because like you're stuck doing homework and being like playing video games and just being lazy in the quarantine. So you gotta like stay active because your muscles just, I don't know what the word, like tense up, I guess. Like your muscles are not accustomed. Your muscles just don't get accustomed to this. So like I be stretching every day, trying to make sure. My back's been killing me with all this work, to be honest, because it's like staying on the computer the whole time. So I've been trying to keep myself as active as possible. And like when I take Brooklyn out for walks, well, it's not walks anymore. Really, it's running at this point because it's like trying to get my cardio.
Yeah.
But she just got, I think I told you, about like she got like a inflammation on her ankle. She's kind of a little injured, limping dog right now. But yeah, that's pretty much
it. All that running, man, you're pushing her too hard.
That I low-key think it's actually my fault though, cause like, bro, like out of nowhere she's just limping into my room, and I'm like, what just happened? So yeah,
she'll be fine. I'll give her a little bit.
Just the doctor told her like get medication and she'll be fine. She just needs to be lazy, but she's a dog. That's her number one job. You know what I mean?
That's what they're best at.
How's Riley doing?
She's good. She's bored out of her mind, but I think she likes that we're all home. She's not used to all four of us being home all day, every day. So I think she looks at it as like more people to play with. So she's a little more energetic than usual, but today is a pretty crappy day outside. It's been raining, overcast all day. Yesterday was beautiful, so we got her out for a little bit.
It's been raining this whole weekend for us.
It was raining all week too, and then it was like, it's cool. It's like in the 40s, and then today, same thing. Yesterday, at least it was sunny in the 60s. We actually got outside. We threw some hamburgers and dogs on the grill for a little bit.
That's nice.
Enjoyed it. Saw my grandma for the first time in like a month and a half. She came over.
Wow. How was that?
Yeah, no, it was good. It was nice
Mhm.
to see her and just have some
Mhm.
family time, you know, because I'm getting a little on edge just being with my family all day. I
Um,
think my mom is too. She's starting to lose it really quickly with us, you know.
I can say the same about here. We're kind of old on edge. Like it could be the most randomest day, and we'll just be coming at each other's necks or something.
Yeah, literally. It
But
makes it so testy because you're just like sitting here, you're bored, tired
mhm,
of the same sceneries, tired of the same things.
yeah, yeah. But I'd say the same for my dog. Brooklyn probably's got to be very confused at this point because she's not used to us all being at home at the same time. So like her usual like spots, like go-to spots for her to lay or just like chill, like we're taking over them. So she's looking at us like, "What you doing, man?" Like so.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna go into the first topic of the podcast today. Pretty much, we're gonna be talking about like the Houston Astros and the Boston Red Sox sign stealing issue, like the scandal, and like we're just gonna go like into it and talk a little bit about our opinions. So I want to ask you because you're one of my favorite like people to talk baseball with. So overall, because we're both Yankees fans, I mean, like we I don't want to be biased, but I think this is complete like bogus, man. I don't know how to feel about like the what's the word like the punishment they received. How you feel about it?
I think the players should have gotten a suspension. I mean, they were the ones really taking control of the whole thing. They were the ones wearing the little buzzers or whatever it was.
Oh my
And
god.
they were the ones getting the information. It affected their game, affected their stats, affected the entire outcome of the playoffs that year.
Hmm.
And for the MLB to not punish them at all, I think that's just total BS. I mean, I don't know. These other fines that they gave and suspensions they gave to the coaches and other staff that were involved, that's cool. Nice. Thank you.
I feel like they're minimal. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they couldn't receive more because like a team like Boston, they have so much money. They're not really caring about a fine like for 5 million, or they're not really caring for like, oh, we don't get a first or second round draft pick. Oh my goodness, what are we gonna like? They're not worried about that. I
Yeah.
do think it's kind of weird though. They just traded Mookie Betts to the Dodgers, and I don't remember exactly what they received in that trade, but like I think they did that trade to like in order to be like, okay, wow, they're catching on to us. We gotta do something. And I will agree with you. I feel like the players should have received something. At least put an asterisk to their name for the stats or something they received. Like with the Houston Astros, none of those players are receiving nothing. I think it's crazy that a player that uses steroids receives like so many suspensions individually, but then a player that cheats or like a whole team that cheats doesn't receive any sort of suspension towards its players. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that steroids is even better, but like there are two cases of cheating. If you're gonna make an example with like steroids, you should make an example with people cheating and sign stealing like this.
Yeah, no, it's actually interesting you bring up that point because I was just thinking that was the next thing I was going to say. Like, sure, it's an individual at the time using a drug to make them better and
Mm-hmm.
enhance their game, but at the same time, this whole sign stealing and tip offs, that's also the same thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
just not as easily detected. So it's still cheating. The long story short, it's still cheating, and I think they should have just gotten something, whether it's a half-year suspension or a full year. Like, even if it's at the minimum, I think they should have received something because now it's just kind of letting them go
Mm-hmm.
with the idea that they're going to get away with whatever they want. I mean, obviously now the MLB is going to watch players closely for other ways for them to cheat,
That's true.
but it's kind of just didn't really leave an impact on the players that participated in this. And I just don't think it's fair at all, especially because they won a World Series off of it. And like
Mm-hmm.
you said, because we're Yankees fans, so we're even more heated about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you see throughout the league when it all was coming out, you had players tweeting and
Mm-hmm.
going on air talking about it and saying like
Mm-hmm.
this is totally unfair. And even though they weren't affected by it in the playoffs, like, you know, it's just not cool. That's not
Yeah.
a cool way to play. It's not a cool way to do this.
I think it's really bad, and from two perspectives. So, like, from a team perspective, like you're not doing something exemplary from that. Like, it's like a slap at the wrist, like how people have been saying. Like, people are gonna see this and be like, "Oh, wait, so this is what they get if they cheat? What if we cheat? We're not gonna get reprimanded any worse. Like, come on, there's no way." So I feel like it puts a bad example on that for like the way other people will be and be like, if they got away with it, and this is the only things they got from it, then why can't we? And the other perspective, I feel like it's both like the commissioner of baseball. and like the league itself, because like they're not doing anything about it. I feel like the commissioner for the NBA, Adam Silver, if a team would have cheated like in like something to this level, he would have like 2 times, 3 times the punishments or like something. Like this commissioner really hasn't done a lot for the league, like in my opinion at least, about the certain issue.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's just not fair. I don't know. There's not much more you can really say about it. It's just it is
Yeah.
what it is, and it's unfortunate that it happened, especially to our team. But time will go on. It's another thing. It's unfortunate that we're not even getting to watch baseball this year.
That's the thing I was about to say.
We saw like what 2, maybe 3 weeks of
Spring
preseason
training.
games getting played. That's not much at all. And like we said before, it's another thing to add on to what we are not doing during this quarantine. You know?
That's a good point.
Losing sports was a major blow to our society, I'd say, because that was one of the things we all kind of bond together over and pass time with, honestly.
Yeah. It's one of the most trending things in our society, in America as a whole. Like sports is like top 3 most things talked about in Twitter every day. Like not only that, but like people at bars, people at like anywhere you go, people will talk sports. It's very common. So I do agree with you. Like it's one of the things really affecting like our country during these times. When do you think baseball's gonna come back? Like, what's your opinion on that?
To be honest, I don't know if they're even gonna get a season in this year. The way things are looking, the prediction is that the NFL should be able to start on time, but around that time is the end of the MLB season. It's most likely, I think it's playoff time at that point, or pretty
around there, yeah.
Time. So at that point, what are they going to do? Play maybe a few games? People are going to be out of practice. You know, they don't have access to the facilities and all the equipment that they did. But I really don't see us seeing baseball this year, to be honest. At least not until next year.
I feel that. One thing I read is that they're trying to. There's a very viable option that they're going to continue like the season, but without fans, and that it would have to be a very shortened season. So I feel like that's weird for a sport like baseball because it's like 162 games in a season, and especially like the way the sport's played, that it's like you play a whole series against this home team, then you go to this other team, like you play 2 to 4 games, whatever, back to back, whatever your schedule is. So like shortening the season is gonna like probably make it so that you would have to shorten the amount of times you play a team also. And not only that, I heard that they're trying to like postpone it so it starts later. But baseball is an outdoor sport. These people aren't really accustomed to playing in the winter conditions. Like you're telling me you would have the playoffs be November, December? Like that's just crazy.
Like first off, the cold would just tense up all their muscles and you know, standing around waiting for a ball to get hit to you or whatever it may be, you're gonna freeze up and you're more prone to injury. And then, like you said, the weather conditions, snow. What are you gonna do? I mean, there's been games played in the snow, but in the winter in certain states you get more snow than others. So I mean,
Minnesota, the Twins ain't gonna be able to play. Say they make the playoffs, yo.
Colorado too.
Colorado will be screwed because of it. A lot of teams. That would be weird. Another thing I read on Bleacher Report, this was weeks back, is that they're trying to find do something like the NBA is trying to do, like have one venue for all the games. A possible venue was Japan.
I didn't hear about this, but I don't know why we would go to another country to play a sport.
That's the first thing my mom said. Like legit, why are you going to another country?
It's an international pandemic. No matter where you go, there's always the possibility of it being there. And then also having the players and coaches and other staff gather in the same building. I mean, think about it. What, you carry about maybe high to low 20s, I mean, high 20s, low 30s amount of players, just players. And then you have your other staff, you have your coaches, you have the umpires. That's a lot of people within like one facility. And, you know, you can't even go into a store now without a mask on, and they're like limiting the amount of people that go into the supermarket. So why would you put all those people together? I mean, I get it. You're trying to give the American people and, you know, people of other countries something to watch and something to do.
It's not viable in my opinion. Like, because the whole purpose of this, like, sports got canceled because, one, with the fans, that there's no social distancing there. 2, with the players and athletes and the staff, there's no social distancing. Plus, you don't know who's got it or not. So having everyone in the same place for to be able to participate in like the games and everything, I see it as like the Rudy Gobert situation in the NBA. It could cause like what happens if you didn't test every single person, and then the one person you didn't test is the one person that had a symptoms or something? That screws the whole operation up. That's why I think it's really risky.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, literally just look at the whole Jazz situation. It was Jazz, right? Utah?
Yeah,
Look at that whole situation. I mean, how many people got sick on the team? Like 5 people or something like that?
I think it's four. Four people got corona on the team.
Yeah, point being, I mean, look, you have a team gathered together. Luckily, no one else in the arena at that time had gotten it. You know, just like simple high fives from players and stuff like that. But just look at that. It's as simple as that. You may not know who has it, and that's why we have all these social distancing laws and rules in effect right now. That's why police are shutting down social gatherings around the state in New Jersey, because it's so easy to contract it, and that's why we're always wearing the mask. You got to have Purell on you at all times. As soon as you get home, wash your hands. And they tell you not to go anywhere. You know, when you're out walking and you got people coming at you, you have people not going out in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
So you need to maintain that distance. And I feel like bringing sports together, regardless of having fans there or not, you still are putting people at risk, because then they can still go home and bring it to their family, and then it keeps getting passed on. That's how it started anyway. So.
It's kind of crazy because with the Rudy Gobert situation, no one knows if like Rudy Gobert was the one that had it first, or if like he gave an autograph or high five a person and that person gave it to. It's really crazy how you really can't trace it, because it's just everyone's got. It's like this person has it, and then everyone like that's how fast it spreads, and that's why I think it's very risky for like any sports to resume. The one thing though is that I keep hearing is that like a lot of experts and people keep thinking that baseball will be the first sports to resume though.
Is it because of the time of year that it is? Like, you know,
That's pretty much it. They think it's the perfect opportunity for baseball, since it's like the type of weather for baseball. So they should take advantage of that. And like the all the plans I keep hearing is that there would be no fans. But obviously the whole fans part is not trying to say that it would make it weird, because like it just like it still be sports, and I feel like if there's no fans, it would make it more prone to see who's actually like the better athletes, or like the better. Like I feel like it would make games be more intense or something, because it's just like players versus players. You know what I'm saying? There's no showboating. There's no fans. There's no reactions. It's just people playing like pickup baseball, except they're getting paid for it.
There's no pressure of being booed or cheered on by thousands of people at once, you know?
And it would show like the actual people that are there to play, because it's like say you strike out, like that's and there's no one there to see. It's just you and the pitcher and like whoever's on the field. That's like on your psyche, on your mentality. That's probably going like, oh my God, what am I doing? It's I think it's a big mental issue to that too. But what I keep hearing is that probably baseball will come first, then basketball's trying to resume after that, and hockey and the NHL will probably come back around the same time, because the NHL is the one league that really hasn't done that much, and all the people are saying, yeah, we're not gonna get a season. And NFL got lucky because their season didn't even start for this. Basketball and hockey were like in the middle. Hockey and basketball were affected, like they were about to start both the playoffs for those sports, which is kind of crazy, because like I can see from an owner perspective why they'd be all angry and disappointed right now, because they're all losing money.
Yeah, that's like that with every sport. I mean, also look at WWE. They had that show in their training facility, and you know that funny meme of Steve Austin where he's like, "Can I get a hell yeah?" And he's like, that had me dying. That was so funny. But that's the way it has to be now, and I really feel like it'd only be UFC, WWE, like combat sports where it's just one-on-one.
UFC's gonna return apparently like by mid-May or June.
I mean, I could honestly see that as long as you have people tested and quarantined leading the 2 weeks up to the event, and having like a limited staff, you know, camera crew, judges, announcer, whatever you may want it to be. No fans, obviously, small contained area. I feel like that'd be perfectly fine. But as for the sports that carry bigger teams, it's just not possibility. You know, it's putting too many people at risk, as I said before.
You think what I think is crazy though? Like you said, like teams that carry like more athletes, like basketball's only like 5 people. Hockey on the field, on the ice, it's like 5, 6 people. Yeah, 5, 6 with the goalie. Like soccer, like in Europe, these people are already like, all right, let's get it. We're starting. Because like soccer teams are all in Europe are all going into training camps like it's mid-May. the German soccer league, the Bundesliga, is gonna start resuming play like at the start of June already. And then like I keep reading reports that in like Spain, they're like the government said the soccer can renew, but we're not letting fans come until like, after this year is over. That's a sport that's surprising me with how like they're already like trying to like get everything going. And like you know the difference in soccer with like the other American sports that you don't do trades, you do transfers, like you pay for a fee for the player.
Yeah.
So there's teams that are just selling their whole teams now in order to make money, in order to continue to operate, because this is how bad it's affecting because of the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just like any other business, you know.
Yeah.
You're losing money regardless, and sports not being played, they're losing millions of dollars by not
Mhm.
having fans come in, buying food, clothes, whatever it may be, and
Yeah.
just ticket prices in general. You know, you're losing so much money. So I could see why they're doing all these transfers just to try and get some sort of income, just to
Mhm.
maintain. You know, another thing I'm thinking about too is the players. Are they getting paid if they're mid? You know what I mean? Because they're all under contract. It's kind of just like any other job where
I'm trying to think
people
because
may
I
not
keep
be
getting
paid.
reports that like staffing, like for the teams, have received pay cuts, and at least in soccer, the players have some specific players have like taken pay cuts. But I don't know here in the states if like the athletes have taken pay cuts or if they're still getting paid. Because that's a good point you just bring out here that I didn't think about. Like if they are still getting paid, because they're all under contract technically.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know with the Mavs,
Mm-hmm.
um, what's his name? The owner,
Mark Cuban.
yeah, Mark Cuban. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I know he was trying to do a program where he had all this, like the staff, the food tenders, and all like that staff. He was trying to get a program together where they would do some work, whether it was community service or whatever, and he'd still pay them. I know he was doing that, but players, I kind of don't really see them being paid, especially now, without them actually playing,
Exactly.
just because that would be a major loss to the organization.
That's the one thing that I think is the thing. Like they're not playing, and then the companies or like the organizations are already losing so much money. I don't see how they would be getting played. So like that's what makes a good point to why all these players want the leagues to be resumed and not be canceled.
Another thing too, they they most likely either lost a majority of their season, or they might even lose their season as a whole.
Hmm.
Would that then take a year off their contract?
That's I was about to talk about that because Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have 2 years left in their contract with the Clippers. So I was like, the one thing I was thinking is, would that mean that would have 1 year left, and then the season is kind of where they got screwed over by it? Because that'd be really like imagine like it being a contract year for you in any sport, and then being like, oh wait, so am I getting paid or like am I a free agent now? Like what do I do? That's another good point because I don't know what leagues would do. I feel like this is going to be something that's going to change the space and like the way everything sports works. Because one thing that we forgot to mention, like all these sports being canceled affects their off seasons. Like NBA, they have a draft, they have free agency, the summer league. MLB, you got spring training. Are they going to come back to spring training? Finish like the last week or 2 weeks that they had of spring training? NFL, they did the draft on Zoom, but like the NFL didn't get affected by it because they still got to do it in the scheduled order of like how their things happen throughout a year. So
Yeah,
like that's one thing that is gonna be really different, I think, from like as soon as this quarantine is over. It's like how are these leagues gonna make it work? Because like if you say basketball starts like with the playoffs in July, August, whatever, if this is all cleared, you're gonna do a draft in September and you're gonna do free agency in November and start the season. Like it's gonna be different from what we are always used to knowing in sports. That's the one thing.
yeah, it's kind of how it is with everything. You know, we're not
Yeah.
used to any of this, and life's gonna have to. We're gonna have to make some adjustments when it's all done. I mean, once we're freed from quarantine, we're still gonna have to make adjustments. We're still gonna have to live as if we kind of are still under a threat of getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I feel like it's just gonna take a while for everything to get back in its normal cycle, especially sports too, like you were
That's a
saying.
good point. Yeah. Yeah. It's also because they keep saying that there's going to be like a second wave of this when we're all clear to go, which is what I keep hearing.
Yeah, in the winter.
Because that's going to be a really good determinant, like factor on what's gonna happen with everything like businesses and like sports, for example. Like if that second wave hits, is things are gonna get like 2 times worse. Like so, we're definitely gonna have to see about that. Now, we're gonna go on to our last section. So, Bleacher Report posted an article like a week ago about MLB's like decades and like which decade will have the greatest all-time team. So, basically, I was gonna ask you, Ant, do you want to go through like by position, or do you want to just like talk about the team and like go, uh, like basically straight from there, like just talk about the team in general?
Um, let's go by the position because then we get to just compare it
Okay.
basically how the list is on the actual article.
Okay. So you want to start with the catchers like the article does?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. So for the 2000 roster, the catcher is Jorge Posada, one of the greatest Puerto Rican baseball players of all time. Against
What
Buster,
team did he play for?
he played for the Yankees, baby. Against Buster Posey for the 2010s, and Buster Posey's really underrated because this man, like, I remember like starting the 2010s, like it was Joe Mauer like being on the cover of MLB The Show. Joe Mauer was like the catcher of like was gonna be the catcher of the decade, and then Joe Mauer ain't even in the league nowadays. But
He retired.
he retired.
Yeah, I think he retired last year or the year before. I think it was last year he retired.
Okay, okay, so he retired. Okay, I'm not gonna roast him that badly, but Buster Posey was like a championship pedigree like machine. They won 2010, 2012, and 2014. I'm pretty sure that
Yeah,
that's the 3 years, and he averaged like good averages for all like his like all those seasons. And
he got Rookie of the Year too in 2010.
damn, and like there's nothing to discredit from Jorge Posada. Like Jorge Posada was still like championship pedigree, and he was still like a top 5 catcher for like the whole decade. But I feel like Buster Posey, just because the impact he had on San Francisco, like right away, I feel like he takes Jorge Posada like in this battle. How about you?
I'd say so too. I mean, I'm biased because I love Jorge. He was on that 2009 championship team when I was really getting into baseball,
Hmm.
and he's a Yankee, so I always got to support my Yankees. But I always was a fan of Buster Posey, especially when he first started playing, because he was so good. I mean, he's kind of fallen off a little more now. I feel like he's more of an average player, but I mean that also comes with age. I don't really know
Yeah.
how old he is, but in this debate, I'd say Buster Posey is the better catcher. And I like that Jorge was a switch hitter too. You don't really see
That's a good point.
you
I
don't really
forgot
see
that
too many
Jorge was a
switch
switch
catchers
hitter.
at the time, even now.
Okay. But one thing that also we can mention about Buster Posey is that he was really good at like just getting like art. Would I say RPIs? Like getting on base in general. He was really good on like either if there was people on the bases, like he would do a hit that would help like people bring back to home, or just get people like get himself on a second base, first base. I don't know. He could do a little bit of everything. I don't know about his fielding. I don't think he won no Golden Glove, but no,
No,
he actually did. He
yeah,
did. Oh wow. So yeah, I think Buster Posey is the right pick to do here. Now following,
he's also a more decorated catcher too, in the sense of all these awards and championships and such.
that's true because he does have the championships and like the Rookie of the Year and all that. Yeah, if we're basing it off accolades, Buster Posey clearly wins too.
Yeah, Posey's also a 4-time Silver Slugger winner.
Shit. Wow. Okay, I did not know that. Well, yeah.
So yeah,
First baseman,
I think Posey wins this one.
Posey. Yeah, I think we can both agree. Posey gets it. Like nothing against Jorge Posada because Jorge Posada is still the goat, but
Absolutely.
Buster Posey statistically, I don't know because like, do you think Buster Posey would have been able to like be good if he wasn't in the San Francisco teams? Like, I feel like he's in a situation that he got drafted by the right team.
I don't remember the team exactly at the time, but I'm pretty sure when he got drafted, they weren't anything too crazy. I'm pretty sure it was like the 2 to 3 years
They had
following.
good pitching in like the start of the decade. Tim Lincecum. They had Madison Bumgarner. What's the
Yeah,
other guy? Matt Cain. Not Matt Cain. Is Matt Cain the name?
I know they had Matt Cain, but I don't remember. I'm pretty sure he played for a different team before he either signed or got traded. But
They
no,
had
Matt Cain's a great pitcher too.
they had
Oh
a
yeah, you're
couple
right. It was like
outfielders.
every other
Pablo
day.
Sandoval. You remember Pablo Sandoval, yo?
Oh, he was the best.
Fat, fat, like he would swing for the fences every time. They had a couple pieces, I remember, and I feel like Buster Posey was the last piece to that team.
They had Hunter Pence too, who was
That's the one guy I was
he
forgetting
was doing
about.
very well at that time.
That was like his peak in home run like hitting.
Yeah, no, you're right. They had a really good team. I mean, it felt like every other day they were either throwing a no hitter or a perfect game. It
Their
was
pitching rotation was underrated. Like if you're looking at back, like Madison Bumgarner, Tim Lincecum, when like he had the couple no hitters or like the one no hitter he had, they had a couple pieces.
who threw the perfect game? Was that Matt Cain?
I think it might have been Bumgarner actually, because Bumgarner was regarding Bumgarner perfect. Yep, Bumgarner in 2007. So it wasn't even in the decade. That was way before they started like winning. So it might be wrong. Probably Matt King got the no hitter because you're talking about like in the 2010s, right?
I'm looking right now. Matt Cain also had a perfect game. Yeah. Well, regardless, they just had a crazy rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And then Buster Posey behind the plate. He's a good framer, a good blocker. He had an arm too, I'm pretty sure.
He did.
Threw out a bunch of runners. And you're right, he was productive at the plate as a hitter as well.
Mm-hmm. Now on to the first baseman, Albert Pujols. I think I butchered that. In the 2000s, and Miguel Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera won Triple Crown a couple of times. I do remember this. And Albert Pujols. Huh?
He got it once, and I think the year after that he was in contention for it, but then he ended up losing one of the three towards the end of the season.
Okay.
But he was the first one to win the Triple Crown in a couple of decades. I think it was like 4 decades maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy. But I feel like Albert Pujols is just the better player. I mean, he's also still playing. I think he might be the only one playing from this 2000s team that's in the
Yeah,
article.
he's still in the Angels. He's still or did he sign back with the Cardinals or not? No, I think he's still in the Angels. I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, if he's with the Cardinals is something I hadn't heard yet, but I knew he was with the Angels.
Yeah.
I mean, they were both relatively slow guys. Miguel was basically just he was a base hog. You know, you couldn't really rely on him to run it all. And he also had a couple errors, if I remember correctly, too. He wasn't the best fielder either.
Miguel Cabrera, I don't really remember anything from him from fielding because he's mostly a power hitter / offensive person, in my opinion, for his career. Like, those Detroit Tigers teams that were really good with him, like, Miguel Cabrera was, like, the first offensive, like, option, if you want to say it like that. And, like, the other players around him were more like fielders or, like, defensive people to, like, make up for his mistakes because he really was not that good at fielding.
Yeah.
And Albert Pujols, yeah, I give the nod to Albert Pujols because Albert Pujols had, like, the overall longer and better career because, like, he's been, like, consistent at least. Like, he played a lot of years for St. Louis, and then, like, his first couple of years in Los Angeles, he was productive. Now he's a DH, so, like, he really can't he can't be out there playing for you that much, but he's still, like, getting some hits, some runs, some RBIs. So I give the nod to Pujols for the longer career.
Yeah, Pujols, absolutely. He also had 3 National League MVPs.
There you go.
But Miguel had the Triple Crown, 2 American League MVPs, and 4 American League batting titles.
Oh,
so I mean that's pretty good too. But I feel like Pujols is the better player. He also doesn't he have a ring?
I don't think
Pujols also won the Gold Glove 2 times.
He did.
And he had 114 career steals for pretty.
Okay. All right, I give the nod now to Pujols because he has more statistics that I didn't know of. That's actually wow. But I don't think Pujols has won a ring ever. He's been one of those like greatest players that have never won a chip.
Well, when was the last time the Cardinals won the World Series? Wasn't it like either early 2010s or early 2000s?
I mean, they've had competitive teams in the 2010s, but they never won the World Series in the 2010s, I think. Or am I bugging? I don't think they did it. St. Louis Cardinals championships.
They won in 2011.
They did?
And 2006.
That was probably Pujols' last year, right?
I have no idea when his last year
Because
was with them, but
he I think it is because like he didn't move to Los Angeles until like 5-6 years ago. That was the year that David Freese was an MVP. You remember David
oh
Freese?
my God, that guy was great.
You know who he plays for now?
Where's he at?
He's in the Angels with Pujols. And yeah, it's Albert Pujols on the cover of the World Series like championship. Yeah, okay, that's all I need to know. All right, Pujols, he gets the nod. Uh, Now we can go on to the second baseman, and this is an interesting matchup. You get Chase Utley for the 2000s, and you get Robinson Cano for the 2010s. I like Robinson Cano a lot, especially since he plays for us in New York for a couple years.
I love him in New York for the
Mhm.
Yankees. That is.
Yeah.
Mets, he's like an average guy, but I feel like he's always getting hurt. It was like towards his end of
hmm
his career contract, whatever it was in Seattle, he started to become injury prone.
He did. I
But
feel like
he's always had that smooth swing. It was always just like so satisfying to watch.
mhm,
It was so satisfying to use him in video games because they got it down really good.
they did.
And he's just a smooth player in general. He's got a great glove. I feel like he won a Golden Glove at some point. I could be wrong. He might have been in the running for it, but
He's a good fielder, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did. He's one of those players that was good at batting and fielding. I remember that. He was a part of the Yankees team that won the 2009 series, right?
yeah, he
That's
was
my
like,
first. That was my first peep at like Robinson Cano, but at the later end of his career, he kind of got injury prone or like was a fault of teams that weren't that good.
I feel like the point where he started to fall off was when he participated in that home run derby and only hit like 7 home runs in total.
Yeah, I
'Cause
remember
after
that.
that, his swing was all like messed up because he was never really a power hitter.
He wasn't.
He was an average hitter that every now and then had a home run.
hmm
And I think that year was just a bunch of guys didn't want to do the home run derby, and he was like next in line after all those guys turned it down.
hmm
So he just was like, all right, whatever, I'll do it. But then from that point on, his swing was off, and I think he had gotten hurt that season as well. And he just hasn't really been the same in the last years.
hmm
Still a great guy to watch when he is on his game.
That's true. How about Chase Utley? Because besides Philly, when he was part of those teams,
Played for
I
Los
don't.
Angeles too, right? Is
He
he
played for
still?
the Dodge. He's in the Dodgers now. I think still he hasn't retired, but like I feel like Chase Utley wasn't that. I don't know because I feel like they're both at fault for like being really productive at one point, but then falling off.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like with Chase also it's his age, and also Chase was never really on like a power team. I mean, the Phillies were a power team over a decade ago, I'd say. But
Ryan Howard was a member of that team. He was a slugger.
true, true. Did they win a World Series in the 2000s?
They won it in 2008 or 2007, I believe, but I don't know exactly when year. But I know they won it before the Yankees.
Didn't they play the Yankees?
They played the Yankees in '09. That was like the second time they were in it, like that specific team. They had Jimmy Rollins. You remember Jimmy Rollins, the shortstop?
Yeah.
That team was pretty nice, but not good enough to beat like the Yankees that year. But I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna give Robinson Cano the nod here.
Yeah, I'd say so too. I'm looking at the stats, and they're both pretty close in everything, to be honest. Utley had more home runs in his peak year, 2008. Cano he was down by 10. Their scored runs are pretty close. Honestly, all their stats are really close. Even the home runs, like their peak years, they both had 33 home runs.
hmm
I, I'd say Cano, to be honest, when he's not hurt.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree, 100%. Shortstops, we get.
Easy. Easy. You can throw Derek Jeter against any player ever. I will always say Derek Jeter.
Do we even have to debate this? Because like the whole article talks about that they had issues coming up with a shortstop for the 2010s.
Well, their issue was that they had so many good players. So there's a lot of good shortstops, a lot of fast guys, a
hmm
lot good with the gloves. Um,
None of them to the level of Derek Jeter though. Like I feel like it's a no-brainer because Derek Jeter's Derek Jeter. Not being a biased Yankee fan, just being a biased baseball fan. It's Derek Jeter.
yeah, I think everybody that watched MLB or was a fan of anything sports, they always liked Derek Jeter. You know what I mean? I even have his see that one right there by
I'll
my
keep
face?
it. I see it.
That was the Sports Illustrated cover from when he retired. And the
Oh,
one right next to it's Mariano, and I think this one's when he got his 3,000th hit, it was like a little scoop of the
Mm-hmm.
sand. I think my grandma won that at like a casino or something. But, you know, Derek Jeter, there's no other player like him. He carried the Yankees for so many years. He stayed with them his entire career.
He was
And
like I guess you could say he's like the Kobe of baseball in that aspect. Like he stayed on the team for a lot of years, and he still did his best to bring him to a successful team every year. And he still had good stats. He never failed. He always did his thing.
yeah, exactly. He's just a great player. He's a great shortstop. So many iconic moments in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Even I think he had even robbed the home run one time when they put him in the outfield. They had
I
put him
think
in
he
the
probably
outfield
did.
one like rare occasion when he was younger, and he did great out there too. And that's a totally different position from shortstop. I mean, granted, it's probably easier because you're
Yeah.
just running, catching the ball, waiting for it to get hit to you. But nah, he's a great player, and he had great opposite field power. No matter where the ball was in the zone, he'd
Mm-hmm.
still somehow manage to shoot it out to right. So he's the perfect like hit and run
Mm-hmm.
type of batter too.
Mm-hmm.
He's an 8-time All-Star.
Only 8?
He had at least 190 hits 7 times. He hit over 308 times. Finished in the top 10 in AL MVP voting 5 times.
As he should.
Great. But then, like you said, they had a hard time picking 2010s shortstop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard class. You got Troy Tulowitzki, Francisco
Andrew,
Lindor.
I don't know how to say his name. Andrew Simmons,
Yeah,
Francisco Lindor.
he played with the Braves. I think he's in Los Angeles. He's with the Angels too.
He's in the Angels now.
I was a
Even the
fan.
Braves was a good fielder though.
When he started with the Braves, I really liked him. He was fast. He's got a strong arm, and just a great. He's another smooth guy too. It was just like
Mm-hmm.
he was so fascinating to watch, you know. And then Francisco Lindor, he's a great player now too. A switch hitter,
Mm-hmm.
great shortstop, great hitter. Always
He
full of
carries them.
energy,
He
too.
carries them Cleveland Indians teams. Honestly,
He does. He does. He was a big impact too when they had won that World Series, or when they made it to the World
they
Series.
made it to the World Series against Chicago.
They lost to the Cubs. But nah, he was great to watch. That was a great series too. That was I remember we were watching that freshman. I don't think you were there yet, but we were watching it freshman year. You might have pulled up. Yeah, I think you were there because you were in your Cubs jersey at the time.
Yeah, I was wearing the Cubs jersey.
Javi, right?
Well, no, the Cubs jersey was Starlin Castro.
That's right. Yeah, that was a fun World Series to watch. Though.
It was.
Cubs hadn't made it in however
It was
many.
crazy because I remember that Game 7. It was Game 7, right?
Yeah.
That Game 7 was crazy. And then it ended up going to like the 9th inning or the 8th inning at least, where like it was like still tied or something, and like I don't remember who, but like someone hit it in the right spot, and then like the person came to home, and that was like the perfect like clutch play, and like it cemented like the legacy for the Cubs.
I think it was maybe the third or second baseman. I don't remember what his name was.
Ryan.
Ryan. Ryan what?
Chris Bryant.
Oh, Chris Bryant. Oh, you're talking for the
They-
Cubs? I'm thinking about a different game with the Indians where it was they had a couple clutch hits like in the late innings. That might have been just like the ALCS that I'm thinking of then.
Because they made it to a couple of like straight American League whatever it's called, the ALCS. They made it to like 2-3 straight years. The Indians.
They were good. They kind of fallen off in the last couple
They
of years.
did. They had Kluber. Kluber was a good pitcher.
Yeah.
That's the one person I remember.
See, that's what we need in New York. We just need a strong rotation. We got all the hitters. We got great fielders. We just need a strong rotation. We can't rely on the same starting guys to go 6-7 innings every time because like in the middle there's nobody. I mean, we have some good names, but like they're not dominant like we need it to be, and we have the money for it.
I agree with that. And like Garrett Cole ain't enough. Garrett Cole ain't enough.
Yeah, literally. And we got Severino getting hurt.
I don't like Severino. He's trash.
That was a big loss for us, though. I liked him. He was good. I'm pretty sure he threw like over 100 too, a couple times. I remember getting confused with someone else.
Nah, I think it might be right. You might be wrong there.
But anyway, back to the original topic. DJ all the way. No question about it.
Yeah, Derek Jeter takes it like landslide or whatever you want to call it. Like, there's no contest in my opinion. It's like fatality in like Mortal Kombat. Let's go on to the third baseman. You got Alex Rodriguez for the 2000s and Adrian Beltre for the 2010s. This is a tough one. I don't know, because Adrian Belton was okay, but I feel like you wouldn't be able to rely on Beltre to be like your star player and like make it. I mean, granted, they made it to like a World Series against the Cardinals in 2011, the Rangers, but I don't know. I don't think Adrian Belton has enough to like take over Rodriguez here.
Neither do I. Even before A-Rod started juicing up, he was a great player in Seattle and Texas. Even as a shortstop, he was great.
Yeah.
I think he had actually moved over to third when he came to New York because
of Jeter.
Eric, yeah. But personally, I like A-Rod. As a kid, I had always liked A-Rod right next to Jeter. Mm-hmm. I used to wear number 13 because of A-Rod. This is all before, the steroids came out. Then I was disappointed in it, but, it is what it is.
I remember going to Boston when my family, I don't remember the year, but it was the year after the steroids issue for A-Rod happened, and, it was the season he came back. It was at Fenway Park, and they played the Yankees, and then, it was, me and my dad were the only Yankees fans there. We were sitting in, a sea of, red shirts all around us, next to us, and we're like, oh, my God. But A-Rod steps up to bat, first hit, home run. Everyone starts booing him. A-Rod's doing, this. Yeah, that's my greatest A-Rod memory, honestly.
He did have a good response when he came back to Boston after that.
Mm-hmm.
It was unfortunate. I don't think his last season, I don't think he finished it. I think he sat the bench the rest of the season.
I think he did. I don't remember him, playing that much at the later end of his career with the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, before the whole steroid thing had happened, he was a great player. I'd have to give it to A-Rod for this one. Adrian's a great player, too. He's a really good fielder. He was really agile for his size and age. He's pretty old, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But he's got some power behind it, and he's retired now, right?
I feel like he's retired. I feel like he's one of them old players that, he started to peak, at the later end of his career, but, he should be retired now, probably.
Yeah, he's a great player, but A-Rod in this one, and it's not even biased for me, Obviously, it would be because I like Yankees guys, but A-Rod was just a great player even from the start of his career.
Now we can go into the fielders. So the way they did the fielders is kind of weird because you have Giancarlo Stanton as a left fielder, but if you want, we could, go on it as just, the fielders overall, who had the better outfield. You want to do that?
Sure.
So for 2000s, you get Ichiro Suzuki, Barry Bonds, and Carlos Beltran. That is nasty. And then for the 2010s, you get Mookie Betts, Mike Trout, and Giancarlo Stanton. Barry Bonds is Barry Bonds. That's a first main point. Then they got Carlos Beltran, that before the whole sign-stealing scandal, Carlos Beltran was a monster, and he was very productive his whole career, in my opinion. And Ichiro Suzuki, he retired with us, the Yankees, right?
Nah, he went back to Seattle.
Oh, he did? Well, he played in New York for us, right?
Yeah, he played with us for a couple years. He was actually I think he was there when we made it to the playoffs a couple times.
I remember him being a part of a couple playoff teams for us. Ichiro Suzuki is, I feel like, the greatest international / greatest player to play not only in the MLB but in wherever he originally played, because doesn't he have the most all-time RBIs in baseball history?
Yeah, combined. But that's still crazy because it's two professional levels, so they just merged it for that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a great player. He's fast. He had a cannon for an arm for a skinny guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good hitter. So he had that pole hit. You know how when you watch softball, you see the lefty girls, they'll swing and start running as they're
Yeah.
He had that, and you never saw that in the MLB, but he was still able to get a lot of power and a lot of good hits. He was productive. I don't know about his stolen bases. I don't know how many he had, but I'm sure it was a lot.
He's up there with the stolen bases. He's one of those players that you have to watch as a pitcher, the whole time, be like, I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like you got to give the nod to the 2000s over the 2010s, for the reason that Giancarlo Stanton can't stay healthy to save his life. Mookie Betts has been really good, but like for what, like 2, 3, 4 years?
Yeah, since they had whenever it was that he came on the Red Sox or started
And he
actually.
hasn't been in the MLB for that long. That's the one thing. He's really good. He's really, really good, but he hasn't been along to like take over, in my opinion at least, to take over like Barry Bonds and Carlos Beltran and Ichiro Suzuki. The only person that can like what's the word I want to use? Compete with these guys, I guess. Mike Trout, because Mike Trout is like the LeBron James of this era for baseball.
Yeah,
And like he gets underappreciated a lot because he never makes the playoffs. But like it's Mike Trout, man. He's really good at everything a 5 tool player. But I have to
he's
give
also
the
a
nod
Jersey guy.
personally. What?
He's a New Jersey guy.
He's from New Jersey?
Yeah,
I did not know that actually. That's pretty cool.
he's actually I think down by our, like school area ish. That's why he's a Eagles fan.
Now that would make sense because I knew he was an Eagles fan, but I never knew he was from Jersey. So that makes sense because people keep saying that he's thinking about signing with the Phillies.
Yeah, that was a debate. He's never going to sign. I don't see him signing with another team until after they win a World Series in Los Angeles. But I don't see them winning a World Series in Los Angeles
Yeah.
anytime soon. I mean, that's what I like about him. He's a loyal guy. He's
Mhm.
sticking with the team that had drafted him and brought him up. But he's kind of doing himself in by not going anywhere else. I mean, granted, he's a great player. He's got a great stat sheet. And he's really a producer for that team.
Mhm.
But the rest of the team just isn't carrying their weight. So I'm sure if he was on a different team winning more World Series and making it to the playoffs and such, we'd be talking a lot more highly of him. But as a player individually, no matter what team he plays for, you know he's going to produce.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. Like the story or the morale or whatever the narrative for him, I feel like could be much more different if he was playing for a team that has made it to the playoffs more times. But overall, I feel like he'll go down as like the greatest outfield player of the 2010s and probably like the greatest player in our generation.
Absolutely. I even see him making it to the Hall of Fame, without a doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. Even though it's kind of bogus the way they do it, because there's people. What's the guy that still isn't in the Hall of Fame? He played for the Reds.
Was he a pitcher?
A fielder. I'll look it up and I'll tell you later. I can't think of it now, honestly. But what do you think? Who do you think gets the hump here? The fielders for the 2010s or the fielders for the 2000s?
2000s.
Yeah.
Easily. I mean, I like Mookie and Mike as outfielders. I don't really like Giancarlo as an outfielder, to be honest.
I see him more as a DH, honestly. I don't see him being like that good of a fielder in that perspective.
And then who are the other ones? It's Ichiro, unbeatable, except by Trout. But then you have Bonds and then Beltran. Yeah, those are just two other great fielders, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So easily the 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Now, finally, we can go over the. Oh wait, no, not finally, because we got. So we'll do the DH and then we'll just do the starting pitcher and relief feature together. DH is David Ortiz versus Nelson Cruz. This is a good matchup, yo.
That is a very good matchup.
Nelson Cruz, just like last year, man was getting dingers off dingers like it was nothing. Nelson Cruz, and he was part of that Texas Rangers team that made it to the 2011 World Series too. People forget.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. But Nelson Cruz has been like, I think that one piece that has had like kind of a journeyman career in baseball, that he's played for a bunch of teams, but he always produces. He always is a productive player. And David Ortiz is more of a loyal, has stayed in Boston his whole life. And he was the first baseman, right? Before he was like a DH permanently.
Yeah, they had him playing some time at first. He'd rotate between DH and first.
Okay.
He was never really a great guy to have in the field because he was slow. That's why they threw him at first. And he was a big body, kind of like block balls that would get away from his glove. But as a hitter, he's fantastic. He had so much power, and it was crazy. He's unreal. But Nelson Cruz as well. I'm looking at the stats. Ortiz was obviously more of a power hitter. At their peaks, his average was a little lower than Nelson's, home runs. He had 13 more RBIs. He actually had more runs too, which is surprising because he was a slow guy.
Yeah.
I guess he had a good team behind him to produce some big time hits.
That's the one thing. David Ortiz was always a member of a good team, I feel like, being in Boston. As Nelson Cruz was part of those Texas Rangers, but then he played in Seattle for some years. I remember that. I don't know if that's the most recent ones, but between that, I can't honestly remember the other teams he's played for because he's played for like two more teams besides that.
Yeah,
So you give the nod to Papi?
I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say it's a close one to be honest, but I'd have to give it to Ortiz. He also had a bunch of clutch hits over his career.
That's a good point. I didn't think about the clutch factor. I'm 50-50 honestly, but I'll give it to Ortiz because like he has been known to be like a clutch player when it comes down to it. Nelson Cruz doesn't get in situations to be clutch really. That's how I see it. Now lastly, let's go over the pitchers. I think this is the most interesting for me because for starting pitchers you get Pedro Martinez for the 2000s, and then you get Clayton Kershaw for the 2010s, and relief pitcher you get for the 2010s Craig Kimbrell, and then for 2000s you get Mariano Rivera. Mariano Rivera is like the perfect ideal prototype or like example of what a relief pitcher should be, in my opinion.
I
And
think so too.
Craig Kimbrell's okay, but like I never understood what's like the big fuss about him because I'm not that big of a fan of Craig Kimbrell. He played in Atlanta when they were like had those good teams in the early 2010s, but then he's in Boston now, right?
Last I can remember, he was in Boston.
Yeah, so I feel like Boston just got him because okay, it's a really good closer we needed, but like I feel like in Boston he hasn't been. I mean, I'm not trying to diminish him. He's a really good pitcher, but I feel like he's not as good as he was in Atlanta there.
Didn't he get injured at one point?
In Boston, I do remember he got an injury for Boston at least once. Yeah, at least once he got an injury.
Yeah. But no, this one I really don't see much of a like too close. I really see it being one-sided with Mariano. I mean, he had so many times closing, so many clutch performances.
Yep.
Granted, both these guys would pitch 1-2 innings max, but Mariano's cutter was just unhittable.
Unhittable. And then for the starting pitchers, Pedro Martinez is a legend. Clayton Kershaw, I've always seen him as a James Harden. Like, he always chokes when it matters in the playoffs.
Yeah, he didn't really do too well his last time around.
Kershaw's really good, like a really good regular season guy, but when it comes to the playoffs, he kind of crumbles. As for Pedro Martinez, doesn't he have a bunch of championships, like, to his name? Like, he's always been a playoff performer.
I think he's got a couple. I don't know how many exactly, but
Play for Boston. That's the reason I don't care for Pedro Martinez that much. I'm sorry for being biased, but
exactly. And whenever I think of Pedro Martinez, I think of that one clip when it was a giant Yankee Red Sox brawl, and who was it Zimmerman or whatever? Like the older coach.
Yeah, Zimmerman was the name of one of the coaches.
Yeah, Pedro's got him in the headlock, just beating on his head. That's all I think of when I think of Pedro Martinez.
I forgot about that completely. I'm probably gonna search it later. Yeah, but I feel like it's very lopsided with the starting pitchers as well. Because on one hand, you get a pitcher that actually performed in the playoffs for you, and then on the other hand, you get a pitcher that just doesn't get it done for you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because the Dodgers haven't won. The Dodgers haven't won in the 2010s, right?
No, they made it the last couple times.
But they don't win. That's the one thing. They don't win.
But also, didn't they lose to the Astros during their cheating scandal?
That's true. They lost to the Astros during the 2018. No, 20. What year did the Astros win it? 2019 or 2018?
They won it 2 years in a row?
No, because the Nationals beat the Astros the last time.
That's right. So then it was 18 because last year was 19.
Okay. Then yeah.
Wasn't that the year that we were just talking about before?
Yeah, the Dodgers are like the main person like that got affected by the whole sign stealing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if we can really count that as a loss.
All right, so we won't. But besides that, I mean, Clayton Kershaw, has he gotten you any farther than that?
No.
So I gotta give the nod to Pedro Martinez and Mariano Rivera for that. I think overall the 2000s, just like the article, would dominate them.
Oh, absolutely. It was just I feel like it was a different era. It was so much,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I feel like it was more entertaining to watch back then too with these guys.
Yep, I can agree with that.
But also, I might just be biased because it's like the baseball I've grown up watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that. Especially now because we're like in the juice ball like era where like anyone hits a home run.
Yeah, everyone has power. Everyone has speed. It's just like there's no standout guys that are significantly better than the rest besides
Yeah.
like Mike Trout. But even he's starting to look more like he's mixing in the crowd with the way everybody else is playing. But at the
Yep.
same time, he's still
Yep.
superior. But it just seems like everybody has the same skill sets. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts on the teams?
I like the guys they picked for both, to be honest. They're competitive.
Yep.
And these would be the guys I pick, to be honest. They're pretty close to it.
I will say that I really like the list because it had me more than once having to be like, he's really good and he's really good, and be like, I don't know, like it actually made me think about them a couple times.
Yeah, it made me have to actually go and like read some of these stat sheets because I mean I know these names. I remember watching them when I was younger and even watching them now, but you don't remember the stats off the top of your head.
That's
But
okay.
seeing like the numbers they're putting up and like all the awards and recognition they've received over the years, just it's crazy. It's more than just the one or two championships you remember from that guy, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. But nonetheless, Anthony, thank you for joining us in the episode. It was a pleasure
And
to
it's been
have
an
you here.
honor.
That was gonna be all for today. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the podcast, and stay tuned for what's else in store. Again, Anthony, can't thank you enough. You're the man. Thank you.
Of course, my friend. Thank you for having me on.
You're more than welcome to join us another time. And that's it for Blunt Talk. Peace, people.